Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Equalization meeting to order, please. Welcome, everybody. We'll try to get through this today as timely as possible. Roll call, please.
Gross.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Ott.
Here.
Sykes.
Present.
And Over.
Here. Open meetings law is posted on the south side of our chambers, in the hallway outside of our chambers, also on our website. Proof of publication was July 5th in the News Times and also on our website. Review and approve the minutes of our July 25th Board of Equalization meeting.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Gross.
Yes.
Ott.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Over.
Yes, and adopt today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I move item number 77 up in the agenda, cover that prior to the protest.
Okay. That is just we can move the agenda around. So we'll just adopt today's agenda once we get going here. You said number 77?
Yeah, the discuss.
Over under.
I was under.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was.
We'll adopt today's agenda and then we'll still a motion, Andy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we had a motion and a second.
We did have a second? Okay, sorry. I got tied up on one thing. All right. Any other discussion? Thank you, Daniel. Roll call.
Ott.
Yes.
Gross.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Sykes.
Yes.
And Over.
Yes. Okay, now, Andy.
So,
Item 77, is that the protest number 77?
no, it's not a protest, it's just item number.
It's the
The
over
portion of that I would like to move up. I don't want to discuss the overvalued, undervalued report. What I do want to discuss is a clerical error in the omitted real property portion of that.
Okay. And you want to do that prior to
Prior to
any of the protests?
any of the protests, correct?
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, first off, let's take care of the discuss an act on destroyed property.
Why don't you take up the protest first if you want to? The destroyed property one can wait till we're done.
We can't just burn through it, is
Well,
it?
I need the over-under report done first
All
before
right.
we do that one.
Kurt, you want to take a minute and explain the process so far, try to bring a little light to maybe what's happened over the last 2 weeks, what we're attempting to do today. Could you do that for us, please?
Kurt Bulger, New York County Assessor. Excuse me. So I sent out this morning to all of you the recommendations I've made for all the protests that were filed here this year. Some folks have gotten back to me that they agree with them. Some folks have gotten back to me that they haven't. I'd say a majority haven't gotten back to me. So how we proceed with those is kind of up to you guys today. But I do have the email correspondence with me that people got back to me with those. Did you want me to touch on the petitioning the state portion too?
Yes, please.
Randy? Okay.
Yes.
As far as petitioning the state, I did hear back from the property tax administrator. She was working with me on that. She did see that there were some equalization issues within the county. She was specifically looking at rural residential and York residential. So she sent me a spreadsheet, different adjustments that we can make to affect those values. I still want to hear back from her yet today if I can about how that's going to affect the 2008 manual. So I think the way it's right now, it's going to be putting an adjustment on everybody, whether on the 2008 manual or the 2020 manual. She didn't seem too concerned about having two different manuals out there. Other counties do that. Some counties don't. It's kind of up to each assessor or each board of equalization how they want to do that. So I do want to, we want to hold off on the petitioning Turk yet till this afternoon, maybe if we take a noon break, I could try to get a hold of her and get some of those answers confirmed. I also want to confirm with her too if there's any sort of protest process for folks involved in that, if they do get their change evaluation notice, if they'll be able to protest. She kind of felt like there should be, because everyone's entitled to their due process
Right.
on anything. So I just want to confirm a few of those things yet too.
Okay. And this board does have up until the 25th of July to make any decisions as any type of protests or whatever. And so that means we have one more meeting that we can still take this up at to make sure that we're doing it right.
Right.
And any clarification. So we don't have to rush or force anything through the day, nor do we have to have a special meeting. We do have till the 23rd or 25th, but our last meeting is the 23rd, so I want to make sure that everything we are doing is doing right. Okay, so that being said, Andy, the item before we get to the protest, although we did have some scheduled times for protest, and people's times are important to us too.
We pretty much covered, Randy, what I wanted to give the group an update on where we're at with this.
Okay.
Was my biggest,
Okay, so you're good then?
I'm good. Let's
Okay,
roll.
all right. So then at 10:30, we are past, thank you, Kurt. We will take these in order. The time slots, once again, just remind people that weren't here last week, we're dealing with equalization issues here. I know that they want to talk about value, in which we will talk about, but just to protest and say that, well, my value is too high, we do need the comparables of how you are unfairly treated or not equal to other people. And then we'll go ahead and have you present your case. Kelly will swear you in when you come up, and give your name and address, and she'll swear you in, and we will take it case by case. So the first one up is William and Susan Donovan. Those are all in there, right?
Do you have them? They're in order.
That'll be easier for me to go through. I'll just grab this one
Yeah.
here. Good morning.
Hi. You'll raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Yes, sir.
Once again, just name, who's ever going to speak, name and address.
Well, good morning to each of you. We are Bill and Susan Donovan. We live on 1312 Road 6, 2 miles north of McCool Junction in McFadden Township. And we're protesting the assessment. And this might be an easier one for you because I'm not disagreeing with your numbers about the sales values nearby and other things like that. But there's part of the county infrastructure that is disintegrated, namely the culvert that drains the creek running through our place. It's completely packed with clay and, of course, now corn stalks, but that's a temporary thing. The clay makes it impossible for the water to drain out, which when water slows down, all the silt from 10 pivots that are on hills upstream settles and lands on the access driveway. This did not used to happen, but once the culvert plugged and hasn't been cleaned, it's a chain reaction. So there's really no point in raising the property value and charging us more when part of the county's infrastructure is the reason for property becoming a very low sale value if it had to be sold. I don't believe it should be assessed at the level. It should return to the previous assessment or even lower until the problem is repaired. And you say, why didn't we hear about this? Well, I thought I should go through the channels, so I went through the fourth past county road supervisor, Mr. Charlton, and then the next three, and now Harvey, who is the most skilled and energetic of the whole group. but it still hasn't, the problem is still there. And so I'm finally bringing it to the commissioners. Mr. Groves knows about it. I think he's looked at it in person. The whole thing was caused by a person that lived downstream, is not there now, and the current residents have nothing to do with it. But someone in the past, maybe 12, 13 years ago, plugged the creek with clay and sidewalk chunks to protect an electric line and a water line, which means the water going through the county's culvert has to run uphill to get out of it. It's not possible, so therefore it causes problems that run into the thousands of dollars. So I hope you could listen and drop our assessments and maybe even start some survey work and brush cleaning so it could be cleaned out. And thank you all.
Okay, Bill, thank you. Okay, next up is Jason Kubicek. Morning.
Morning.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Jason Kubicek, we live at 2313 Road U650. My problem is classification of acres, which I was naive. I didn't know how my ground was taxed on my 2 acres. So I went and talked to Kurt, been there twice. I own 2 acres with my wife. My house, which is 24,000, I was told my 2nd acre is a farm site. It's not. It's river bottom pasture. Discussed it with Kurt. Kurt told me I needed a soil map. I went to FSA. They more or less kind of laughed because they're like, soil maps are public information. You should have that. I said, he told me you guys keep it tight. Okay, so I went back in, thought it was done. He went back, I went back a week later. He goes, well, you can switch that. I get an email yesterday, ground's still at 31.5. I'm like, it's not, he's not classifying it right. How long has it been switched to a farm site? He knows where I live, I'm 2 miles from him. I want to know, was my property looked at before my value went up? When was it changed and why was it changed? Was it a glitch? Who changed it from a pasture? Because I dealt with Ann on the same problem in 15 when it flooded. And it was a pasture acre then. So somewhere between 2015 and I don't know when it got switched, I want to know why it got switched. And he can't tell me. And I have another parcel of ground that was some acre discrepancies on. I was informed it's been taxed wrong as far back as 2018. Overtaxed on acres. And I've asked him some simple questions, and he was not able to answer what I asked him, which I felt as assessor, he should have been able to say yes or no. They weren't tough questions. It wasn't a big deal, but I want to know why I don't have a farm site. What's the definition of a farm site? I
Okay,
mean, I don't know why it was changed. It's never been a farm site. There's a farm site there, but I own that with my sister. It's not on my 2 acres. So, I mean, can I ask him the questions in front of you guys and that he
Well,
didn't know the answers to?
right now, the Board of Equalization is just gonna handle the protest of value.
Okay,
And you have, and we should be able to get your answers, Jason.
okay.
But right now, we'll handle
Well,
the
my
board.
wife called him yesterday. Supposedly it was taken care of 2 weeks ago. But yesterday he sent me an email that changed the value of my house, which I agree upon, values go up, but the ground had not changed yet. So my wife called him, oh yeah, I can take care of that. Well, he told me 2 weeks ago it was taken care of. So if he's busy, whatever, but I don't understand how and then when the whole soil map thing, I come back a week later, well, here's your map. He knew the soil map. So why did I have to go to the FSA? He told me them maps are tight knit. They don't let them out. But how does he assess farm ground if he doesn't have access to soil maps? I mean, and then he told me in his office, he's still learning his job. He's only been there for a year. Well, didn't he take tests to do his job? So we were told he was qualified to do his job. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know why my ground got switched. Did he inspect my ground this time?
Those answers we'll have to get. going back to the recommendation that I have in front of you, you filed a protest that was 278, 274. You requested 241, 148 is
Yeah.
what you requested. And his recommendation is 224, 507.
Yeah.
So we're okay with
Yeah,
that
but my
one?
problem, the first time my house, it doubled in price. The first time it went out, it went up $131,000. So I mean, I asked him, was that a glitch? I heard York had a glitch. Nope, not a glitch. That's what your house went up. I mean, I don't own access to my property. I own 2 acres in the middle. If I sell my house, you don't have access to any of the buildings on the property. And it's river bottom pasture is my 2nd acre that is sand mostly. You can't build a house, if I sell it to you, anybody in here,
Okay.
nobody can build a building on it because it's in a floodplain. My house, I had to go through floodplain stuff to build the house where it did not have flood insurance. I don't know if you can do that for the rest of it. I just wanna know why and when, if I've been being overtaxed on my 2nd acre, why it got switched and who switched it. Whether it was Ann, Kurt, I don't know who did it. But that's what I wanna know. It was my naiveness. I didn't know why my 2nd acre was $7,500. But Ann told me it once, I went through this with her. She's like, yep, it's pasture, we'll switch it. I never questioned it till now. I don't get this nifty little chart that says every acre, that says, well, hey, yeah, farm site, $7,500, home site, 24. Well, I didn't know that till I was in his office. How the heck am I supposed to know what my 2nd acre's valued at? It doesn't list, hey, 1 acre pasture, farm site on our tax statement. But I wanna know why it got switched, when it got switched, and if I've been it's $6,000 overtaxed, whatever, or difference on the 7,500 down to 1,200 for the pasture. Not a big deal. The point is, I wanna know why it's being switched and whose oversight it was.
Okay. Well, those questions we can handle at another time, and definitely bring them forward so we can get the answers to them. But as far as the protest is concerned, we're okay with the protest then?
No, I mean, the 31.5 is not right.
The 224, 507,
That's what the 31.5 is the ground.
The ground should be 26,100. When I
Okay.
talked to his wife yesterday.
okay. So that is, it should be an
But I thought
overall,
this was taken care of 2 weeks ago, Kurt.
overall number is, what?
219,107.
All right, hold on. Get a pencil.
I mean, but I thought this was all taken care of when I sat in his office 2 weeks ago. He told me it would be done.
219, read that number again,
219,107.
107. So that's your recommendation?
Yep.
219, 107.
But, so,
Are we okay
well,
with,
are we gonna figure out why my ground got switched? That's what I wanna know, when and why it got switched. That's my biggest problem.
okay, that, once again, we're gonna have to figure out, that is not part of this hearing. The hearing here will be the protest valuation. And if you're good with that 219, 107, then we're good here, but we need to figure that other piece out.
So who's gonna figure it out?
Well, we're gonna have to, through
I mean,
conversations with Kurt.
I don't know if I trust him to do it. I mean, somebody in his office, somewhere along the line, switched it. How it got switched, I don't know. I don't get the chart. I don't know what my 2nd acre's been taxed at. My naiveness, I'm sorry. But when I got the value this year, and I come in and asked him, he goes, well, your 2nd acre's a farm site. Well, if he inspected it, he should have known. Well, though, Jason and Jody don't own the buildings, Jason owns a pasture. So I wanna know, I don't know how long it's been this way. So, I mean, is there any repercussion for being overtaxed?
There can be, but once again, that's gotta be a commissioner, we have to handle that as the Board of Commissioners and not during protests. So, yes.
But, so I mean, and you guys are aware that stuff's been going on in the office. I mean, acres were changed. You didn't know that probably.
No.
So I wanna know, I want that answered, why it got switched and when it got switched and who switched it. That's
Okay.
what I want.
Okay,
Because I mean, I'll agree with the value. He's willing, but 24 hours ago, he sent an email to my wife, still the ground was 31.5. He told me 2 weeks ago he switched it.
okay,
We'll take care of that. And the whole soil map thing, I don't know what to believe. They laughed at me at the FSA office when I said I need a soil map to prove I own pasture. And they're like, why? I said, because Kurt told me he does not have access to them. They said that's public information. So I don't know if the guy knows what he's doing. I mean, a week later, he had that soil map. That's my biggest problem, is
Okay.
his question of if he knows what he's doing.
Okay. One more time. Are you okay with the
Yes.
219-107?
Yes.
Okay,
As long
so
as
we can
we-
move that part forward
Yes.
and then we can handle the other
I
pieces.
just wanted to bring it to the attention that stuff's
Okay.
going on that's not, I mean, I have another piece of farm ground that wasn't right to begin with either. And I didn't file the protest on that, and I was told in a text message that my sister would have a tax statement in a week. She still has yet to receive that. So, I mean, I'm not getting a lot of warm fuzzy feelings of what he's doing in his office, and when you talk to him, you can trust him.
Okay, can I ask you to go next door to the counter? And Mary, I believe, is still in the office. If she's not, Cheryl's in there. And get me your contact information.
Okay?
And so I have that, and then we'll get those questions answered.
Okay.
All right?
I can't, I mean, he won't answer it in front of the commissioner in public today.
It's
because
really
just
not
the
part of
equalization.
this, really not part of this. It sounds like it's either, we're gonna be calling it clerical or whatever's going on. The protest is what we're dealing with today.
Okay.
And we've got that taken care of, Jason,
Yeah,
so
but, I mean, I
let's,
want my other questions, some answers.
perfect.
Okay.
And we'll get those for you. Thank you. Try not to get your stuff out of line. Okay, we have, next on the list. Paul's? Henry?
Yeah.
Henry? Oh, there we are. Okay,
Like, can I have permission to hand out?
sure. Number 31. Thank you.
Thank you.
This one's accurate.
Morning, Coach.
Okay. 1040, a little bit off, ain't we?
Raise your right hand, sir. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And Henry, just name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Henry Ronald Pauls, 1310 11th Street, Henderson, Nebraska.
Okay.
Thank you, first of all, for taking the time to hear me out. What I handed you is just a crude diagram of what the area looks like. Might be helpful for you to know that I live on lot 17. I live on the the west half. And the lot in question here, the one I put a little X on, is the west half of lot 18. And what I'm here to tell you, I've already put into the protest, into the written protest, but I thought it'd be good to, since you offered the opportunity to talk, that I should talk this over with you. I'm comparing lot 18, the east half of lot 18, that's where I put the X, to the east half of lot 16. Now, I live right in between those two, and I want you to notice that lot 16 has 12th Street running right along the east edge. It's paved, it's got sewer and water. Electricity comes in off of the back of the lot, between the two lots, between the two halves of lot 16. And lot 16, my lot has gone from the 2,382 to 9,530 in value, in assessed valuation. It has no street, it has no sewer, it has no water. There is an electrical line running along the back of it. It has nothing there to help you develop that. Lot 16 has sewer, water, and a paved street in front of it. And that has also an evaluation of around the 9,500. I went to the city clerk, she looked it up for me, and she told me the valuation. I didn't write it down, but it's over $9,000. It's comparable to what the suggested assessed evaluation is for the east half of lot 18. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's the basis of my protest, is that the one lot is surrounded by vacant lots all the way around it. And it isn't ready to be, this lot 16, they're gonna be building a house on that, is what they're saying before long. And lot 18 has no potential in that way. Before I filed my protest, I went across the boundary there to the owner of the land where 12th Street would and should be going. And I said, do you have any intention of developing that? He said, no. The same thing is true, although I didn't verify it. I verified this on June 24th of this year, and he told me he had no interest in extending that street, which means that Lot 18 will continue to be, have no access. I talked to the city clerk at Henderson, and I asked, what's the potential of being, what are the possibilities of developing 12th Street? And she said, well, there'd be several ways. If the people who own the land there would want to develop it, that would be one way. Or if the city would act on it and, I guess, condemn it or whatever, that would be another way. And I don't get any, I'm not hearing anything from anybody that they're going to be developing that property. So I'm just, asking you to reconsider that it's a 300% increase in valuation and nothing has happened there. There's no street, there's no anything. And I'm asking you to reconsider that.
Okay,
And that's all I have to say.
Okay, all right.
Unless you have questions.
I don't have any myself. Thanks for the information and thanks for this update.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me time.
Okay, next on the list, Ray White, Ray and Marilyn,
They said they were happy with the recommendation, they would come in today.
on both 32 and 33.
Yes.
Keith Hoffman, I thought I seen you back there, yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I'll pass these out first, and I got a couple other things. Keep later.
Just set mine down there, Keith, I'm trying to. Thank you.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Morning.
Yes, morning. Thank you for having me.
Did we get you, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, 609 Road P.
Thank you, Keith.
Did anybody get a chance to read what I wrote down? Okay. Well, I know the comparables are probably somewhat similar. I think they're a little high to what Kurt had. But the problem is, this is the problem right here. Nobody else has this. Right here, I'd like to pass these pictures around. If he went out there and looked, then he had his back turned to the west the whole time. Because 20,000+ pheasants across the road from me. Smell, noise, it never stops all year round. So I don't know how, personally I don't know how it could go up at all. It should go down. I mean, bird flu, all that stuff. They closed my road down. Nobody says a word to me. I mean, it's ridiculous. Nobody's gonna want to buy my place. No way. Just, there's no way. There's only one other person that has to deal with it, and he works for him, so I'm sure he's not gonna complain about it. But I just don't. Before them were there, yeah, I could maybe see it going up, but not now. No way.
Okay, what was this you dropped off
Well,
with
that's
this, Keith?
comparables, but like I said,
Okay,
if I didn't have how many pheasants across the road, yeah, maybe you can compare them, but who else has to deal with that? I mean, I don't know how there's, I mean, I know I'm here for the pack, but everything has a setback besides that. I don't understand it. I mean, you're gonna set back solar panels, anything. If you would've done anything else, you can't build a chicken barn, you can't I guess I don't understand it, but I just don't, I mean, how do you compare? I mean, I brought them, but,
Okay,
I mean, I can't even open my windows. That's all you hear is pheasants. And it's not just during the day, it's at night too. So I just think I don't think it should go up at all. The price should go down.
and I know you wrote in here that you've had other conversations with other departments, and that's something that I will have a conversation with them about too.
Well, it needs to be, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so for this hearing today, Keith, the recommendation of the assessor at one time was 560, or the first one you got, now it's 416,874, and obviously by your comments, you still want
I
your
just wrote that
requested.
down. To me, it should be
Well, this is the-
lower or the same.
Okay, all right. The 266,980
Yeah.
is what you're,
Yeah, no 560, no way.
the new number is 416,874.
Yeah, that's way too high.
Okay. Is there any other information regarding that today?
Well, like I said, I put in there, I haven't got nothing fixed because I don't even care anymore. I mean, I used to love my place. I don't even, you know, if I could sell it, I would. That's why I got these valuations, but like she said, she told me this is gonna hurt the price of my property. She goes, how do you, I mean, yeah, my neighbor, obviously, which me and him don't get along, he offered to buy it. I'm sure that's why he did it. He probably wanted it from the get-go, but, I mean, gotta have somewhere else to go before, you know, I'm just not, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I got let down both ways. I got let down because they allowed him to build that. Then I get let down because then you're gonna jack my price up. It's like, nobody wants to live out there. I mean, I got a daughter that's had double transplant, and you have all this bird flu going around. I mean, this is literally 30 yards from my house. When an Orville stair was here, I got it when I redid the place, because it's not brand new. It was just a remodel, but he gave it to me that I could still build where it's at, because technically my house should be set back farther, but I just used the old foundation of the old
Okay.
house, so I mean, them pictures, I mean, I'm not joking, that's 20, 30 yards from my front door. So, I don't know, I'm just very disappointed, I guess, in everything.
Okay. Is there any more information just regarding the protest? Because I'm gonna ask you to do the same thing that I asked Jason, is leave some contact information for you so I can have, to look into the other issue.
Okay, so you have it at what? I just want to make sure I got this right.
Okay, the numbers, the 2024 assessment was 560,084. The updated number is 416,874, right, Kurt?
So I'm sorry, say that again.
416,874.
Yes.
And your requested value is 266,980.
Yeah, I know that's what I put down, yeah. I mean, I still think that's high, but that's what I put down.
Okay. Okay, and there will be no decision made yet today. You know, obviously, I think most all the decisions will be made. The easy ones will be today, but all the other ones will be in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah.
Once again, if you go next door and leave your contact information, I won't have you.
I've done that multiple times. I haven't gotten a phone call back.
Okay, would you do that for me, please?
I
And then
can.
I will have that, I will try to get to the bottom of the other question.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Todd, I seen Todd here. Morning. Name and address, please, for the
Tom
record.
Hornbacher, 1808 Road M550, Cool Junction.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I have an increase of 99% on my property, and I have done no remodels, no additions. I have an unfinished basement, open-ended building. They have it, I think it's an enclosed building with doors. And the house is not worth $390,000, the property.
Okay,
They had it at $299 or $199, and I can understand a 10% increase, but a 99% increase is too much.
the new number, and Kurt, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have this in front of you, the assessor's recommendation is changed from 389,646 to 331,384 is the new number.
That's still too
So,
high.
okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure
I
you
mean,
knew.
If you guys wanna buy it for $389, I'll sell it to you. I'll move out today. But there's no way I can sell it for that.
Okay,
And, you know, as he brought up, he has pheasants right across the road. Pheasants are only a mile from my house. And they did close the road because of that bird flu that came through. You know, and thank God I didn't have any chickens at the time, because then I'd had to destroy mine.
Todd, do you happen to have any comparables or anything?
No.
Okay,
The only thing that's comparable is the brand new house at the end of my road, Mike Anderson's. And I don't even know what his is valued at.
okay. Okay, once again, there'll be no decision made today. We'll go off the recommendation and off of what you asked for. Okay,
All right,
all right, anything else? Nothing else? All right, thank you, Todd.
thanks.
We are cruising along, I think we're ahead of schedule by a little ways. Brian happen to be here yet?
No, he's not coming in. I talked to him on the phone yesterday. I do
Okay,
have a change to his, to my recommendation on his parcel there.
okay, hold on a second.
Sure. Let me know when you're ready.
Number 36, right?
Yep.
Okay, you 289, 169?
Land is still 24,780. The improvements changes to 248,062, 248,062,
Okay, overall number?
272,842.
And he confirmed he's okay with that number?
Yep.
Don't see Jim anywhere.
He emailed me as well. He said that looks better. He said if the state of Nebraska, his question was if the state of Nebraska says everyone needs rolled back, will ours also be rolled back? Brought up in 2025, so.
So Jim is okay?
He said it looks better. He didn't indicate whether or not he was okay with it. He just said it looks better. So,
Okay. And 42, next on the list is Scott Yates. Scott, are you here? Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here early, Scott, because
Yeah.
kind of buzzing through them a little bit.
Is it okay if I give you guys?
Absolutely, absolutely. Hand them out.
So do you guys already have a copy of something like this that I've sent in?
Yeah, we have copies.
Okay. Well, I apologize to overkill that.
It's always good to have something in hand.
Okay.
Just set it right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Scott. You're on.
Thank you. Sorry. Do you need one, Mr. Bowman? Okay.
Name and address, if you would, for the record, please.
Scott Yates, 315 Road O, McCool.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, just, again, I'm kind of slightly paraphrasing what I have written there, but I have talked to him a couple times on the phone, and we've corresponded over email a little bit. And again, kind of like I said, I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but our valuation changed from 318,694 in 2023 to over 504,000 on the last one in 2024. So I just made note that's around a 63% increase, about $186,000. And we've done no improvements except from in 2022, about 2 years after we moved in, we added a deck. I attached, when we purchased the place in December of 2020, I attached, just because I thought it was fairly recent, Burnham's appraisal from November of 2020, which was $360,000. But I guess I just have a hard time understanding that our house is now worth over $500,000 in 3.5 years. If it is, that'd be great, but I don't plan to go anywhere, so I'm not selling it. If somebody wants to pay that much, I'd consider it, but I really wouldn't. One of my questions too that I was concerned with, and maybe I just have a misunderstanding, and I was trying to get that, I still just don't have a complete understanding, and maybe I'm reading things wrong. I'm a PE teacher, so I'm not an expert on assessing. But I see that there's a $4,087 improvement since last year. And from everything I understand, that was for like a yard shed that was put in 1990 by three families ago that lived there. So I'm a little confused on that. And I know that doesn't add a huge amount of value, but just things like that throw me off and do add a little bit of value. So I guess that was just a concern that I had on there, and again, maybe I have a misunderstanding somewhere. Going forward too, I attached some comparables. I think one was from Waco, which I think it's still in the county there, the house. One from Beaver Crossing. Again, acreage is similar to ours. And then one that's actually not too far from me, that's just across into Fillmore County. All those were sold, I believe, within the last 1.5 years. So I attached those because I felt like those looked kind of similar to our property. And without going and looking through those houses, I think those are even fairly recently updated, remodeled, and even more acres. So again, those are my comparables I put on there to compare maybe to what we have. I listed, and I'm no mathematician, anything like that, but my wife and I discussed at home maybe to answer the question on the valuation protest as to what number we feel is fair. And I mean, we still had a hard time coming up with 20% increase, because I still, in my heart, feel that's still a pretty significant jump. So that's why we listed the figure of $382,433. That's a 20% increase from the previous year. On Saturday, I know maybe if I'm comparing apples and oranges, I apologize, and if I'm saying the wrong thing, again, I apologize. On Saturday, July 6th, I was reading the Lincoln Journal-Star, and it talked about fewer protest valuations in Lancaster County. Again, if I'm making a bad comparison, my apologies. But it said last year the county heard about 4,500 protests in Lancaster County, which was the highest they've heard since 2012, because there was a historic increase of 23% on valuations. And mine's 63, and I've heard people talk about 100%, whatever. I heard Dr. Orts last week went up 750,000, it doubled almost. And I've heard, again, in Lancaster County, a historic 23%. The next paragraph said, there's a couple of reasons the protest went down in Lancaster County, and that's because the property values increased at a more reasonable average of 5 to 6%. So again, when I'm asking 20%, I still feel that's fairly inflated, but it's something my wife and I said that maybe that feels fair in our heart, and I understand values do have to, I understand that. I understand values do go up. That's the way it goes. But anyway, I just wanted to communicate that as well. And then kind of lastly then too, like I said, I teach and coach in McCool, and we have some young families there that I know there's 2 of them that rent, and they have trouble trying to find a house to buy. And I know it's not just about valuations, there's whatever, housing markets, just inflation in general, it makes it hard. But I know these young families are having a hard time, because my family's not particularly old, but I feel a little bit more stable with my income and everything. But I know that they're having a hard time finding a place and stuff. And one family too, they bought, this is a young, just married couple, and they had to buy a house that is gutted to the studs because they can't afford to buy, like, they can't afford the cost of what things have gone up to. And I know that maybe the value, it's not just all about valuations, but I know valuations are pretty close to what houses, I mean, they're valued at about what those houses should sell for. So when valuations get cranked up, it makes it a little bit difficult for, and again, I'm kind of talking and maybe kind of defending maybe some of our younger people, and it'd just be nice to have because all these young families, they're great families and stuff. But, and again, maybe that's off topic, and I apologize if it is, but just something that's in my heart and in my mind, so. I think those are my main things.
Okay, Scott, there was a number, and Kurt, once again, the assessor's recommendation has changed, 409, 336.
Yeah, I
That
saw
is,
that.
you did see that
I
number?
saw that, so that'd be a 28% increase and
Okay.
still over 91,000, still over $91,000 on
All right.
was. So I saw that. I'm sorry if I'm fishing for excuses. Yesterday we started football camp and stuff, and we were at school like all afternoon till evening. So I didn't get a great chance to look. I tried to email him back and ask a question or two, but, so my wife and I didn't get a great chance to talk about that. But I saw that and I understand that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my question to you would be that are you okay with that number or still protesting?
I think that's heading in the right direction. Can I ask a question about it?
Sure.
If I say yes to that number, or excuse me, if I don't say yes to that number, is there still an opportunity that it could still come back after you guys discuss? Could it potentially come back as a lower valuation yet?
It could.
Or is it
yes.
either accept this or no?
Right, accept it, or if you accept it, then the protest has been accepted, and to my knowledge, you wouldn't have an opportunity to go on to Turk, and, you know, say, hey, they got it wrong, this is my, you know, continue to fight, so to speak. So if you accept it, then that possibility, Kurt, am I wrong there? That would go away?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so if he accepted the recommendation and we agreed with that recommendation, then he would have no basis to go on to Turk.
He could still file a Turk.
He could still file with Turk, okay,
Absolutely.
I was wrong about that.
Could it also, though, even though that is an option on the table, could it still, if I don't say yes, can it still be cranked up higher than 409?
I can't imagine it going higher than 409,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
There would be more of an option of it going lower.
okay.
But for this board to recommend it go lower, they just need to have evidence based to
Okay.
recommend it to go lower.
And that's, again, what my goal was here, was to show why it potentially could be lower. Yeah.
Okay,
But I did see that. I don't necessarily want to say at this moment that I accept it or whatever.
That's fine.
I'd like you guys to discuss and go from there.
okay,
But again, I appreciate your time and what you guys do around here, so thank you guys. very
thanks
much.
for coming in, Scott.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, make sure I get this in the right order. Okay. David, you're on the next one, 47?
47.
David,
Helpful.
Heltzel?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning.
Name and address for the record, please.
David Heltzel, 1308 Road 2, McCool Junction.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your time this morning. I will say, I have met with Kurt, and he explained, I guess, some of the process of what goes into property evaluation, some of the factors. I will say that he has worked with me, has dropped it somewhat, but my protest, I guess, is based mainly on what I see as a discrepancy. Our house was purchased from a gentleman near Ohio and Nebraska and moved on to our property. When it was listed with York County, it's listed as construction date of 2009. The house, and when I filed, I gave some pictures of the house where it's at in Ohio and when it was moved on to our property. The previous owner states that the house was built in 1928. We did obviously remodel the house. In my mind, I guess, looking at comparables, one of those factors that goes into figuring value in my mind, is the year it's constructed. If you look at a house, our house is 2,052 square feet, 2 bathrooms. The house just across the section, Dalen Hall's house, is 1,960 square feet, 1 bathroom. Its 2023 value was $60,383. Mark Evans, who lives just across the section from me, his house is 2,100 square feet, a little more than ours. Built in 2 bathroom, same, built in 1995. His value is $129,856. This is in 2023. Where my house was still valued at $245,000. I guess the most glaring one for me is Marcia Clark's house, 3 miles away from me. A beautiful 3-story house, 2,576 square feet, 3-bathroom house, built in 1900. And the same scenario as ours. I know this house was moved from a previous location onto their property and remodeled. And yet her value is $220,914, $25,000 less than my 2-bedroom house. When I spoke with the previous assessor, Ann Charlton, about this, I explained to her and I showed her the pictures that our house, and granted it's been remodeled, we had to remove the 2nd floor off the house due to the cost of moving power lines. So the bottom half of the house, we saved the top house, basically moved the bottom half to get under the power lines, put it on a basement and reconstructed the top half. The house, I asked her why construction date on my house is 2009. She said that was her decision. She couldn't give me, I guess, and I don't know, I brought this up to you and I guess nothing was ever, well, I should say, nothing was ever done about it, but in your defense, I didn't bring it up until this protest. I can't help but imagine that just from the comparables that I looked at, the date of construction plays a big role in the value of a property. I would like to see, and Kurt brought mine down a lot. They're down from 480 to 315. Over the past 5 years, my property has increased 6.6% basically. This valuation this year is about 56%. And I guess I feel that I have been paying taxes, been overpaying taxes for the last 15 years, since 2009, due to the fact that the date of construction on my house is entered into the system incorrectly. I mean, and I feel, based on that, the amount I've overpaid for 15 years, a 10% increase this year, to me is fair. And that's why I put my requested value of what I did. I don't remember what I...
373,623.
Pardon me?
373,623.
No, that's just for the property, no.
Oh, that's overall.
Yeah.
271,76.
Right. That would represent a 10% increase over 2023. But I guess in my mind also factors in for what I see as an overpayment over the last 15 years due to the fact that my house, and I invited Ann Charlton several times. She could come look at my house, which she declined to do. I would invite Kurt or anyone here to come look. It has been remodeled, yes, but the house was built in 1928.
Okay. 2009 is when it was moved.
2009 is when, basically when the building permit was closed, if you will.
Right. Moved and put on a new foundation.
Right.
With that stuff.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So the number, and I'm sorry, I'm using the overall number. 418,852 was the new recommendation.
Correct.
And
The email I got from Kurt yesterday on the home was down to 315.
315,405.
Right.
Okay.
And I said due to the fact that, in my opinion, it's entered into the system incorrectly. I've been overpaying since 2009, based on the fact that the house was not built in 2009. The actual, I mean, it's the same case as Clark's house. It was built at a different location and moved on to their property. I did the same thing.
Okay. So you still obviously disagree with the new recommendation?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Anything else to add? I appreciate the comparables that you don't have those written out, do you?
I have them written out here. You're welcome to that.
Okay. Can we have that?
Sure.
Or do you want a copy of it to keep for
No,
yourself?
I have a copy at home.
Okay. I
I apologize,
appreciate
I
that.
didn't make copies for
I
everyone.
appreciate that. We'll get some copies made of that if we can, please, and then we can attach it. Anything else today then?
No. So,
Okay. Kurt, did you have anything else?
You said that you had to remove the second story to move it, or they did, whoever did?
I did, yeah.
You did. Did you replace the second story with the original second story?
With the original structure.
Okay.
We made some changes. If you looked at the pictures, and well, you have the current picture of the home. The original home had, the second floor was 4 dormers. When we reconstructed it, we changed it to just straight up walls.
Okay, so it's not a 1928 first floor to 2009 second floor, it's all 1928?
Well, it is in the sense that the basic structure, I guess the framing of it.
Sure.
The framing of it, yes.
Okay, all
It's
right.
all 1928.
Okay.
When we did that, it's all sheeted. The Blandex on the outside is all.
Sure.
But the
Okay.
structure itself is all.
Okay. Cool.
With some changes. We removed
Layout.
it. We removed the dormers.
Sure. Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, I know that this is gonna be off. I know Gene's back here. What's your name, sir?
Fred,
Fred?
I'm just pretty much just listening.
Okay. You don't have a protest in?
I'm not as good as half of these people do, so.
Is it a filed protest though?
But
Okay.
I checked the last box, I don't want to talk really.
Oh, okay.
I'm just really just
All right,
listening.
I just wanted to make sure because we've gotten out of line and then some are, like Gene's, for instance, I think was the time frame after dinner, but we're not gonna do that. And, good. Okay,
Todd Anderson, he said it sounds reasonable, thank you. as far
okay,
as the-
Todd's okay?
Yep. And then Dennis Clark, I thought I saw him in the hallway.
He was here before, I'd seen.
Yeah, Mallory's here too.
I'm not gonna be as good as a PE teacher, that was pretty good.
Pure, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, come forward.
Do you have the attachment that I included in my protest deal?
61, that's gonna be a different email, isn't it?
Because I didn't make copies.
You see it anywhere, Daniel?
Yeah, just a top sheet of
Yeah.
appraisal?
Yep.
So we have a
Yeah,
copy of that.
so that's a 2021 price for trying to refinance it, which, an interesting story.
Okay, name and address, please.
Mallory, Mallory Fuhrer, 520 Road Q, 550, York, Nebraska.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? so help you God?
I do.
Go ahead.
All right, I included the property assessed value that I got on 2021. When I came in and visited with Kurt, we talked about how they're updating the valuation from a 2008 base to a 2020 base. So I thought that using a property valuation from 2021 that I was trying to use for getting the mortgage refinanced would maybe makes sense, because that puts it at that 2020-ish price area. And I live on a pivot corner, well, down the road from the pheasants, but I don't notice the pheasants as much as I do all the dicamba spray that kills my yard that I'm also getting taxed for. But when we discussed my property valuation, we looked at the building, and that was showing as a 2020 building, but it's actually a 1950-something Old Balin storage building that had been moved there. I painted it just so I didn't have to look at the ugly galvanizing. And my lean-to was mostly, I mean, it's bad that it was trash that I brought home from work, but I needed to cover something up and try to get people to not be stealing so much stuff off my property when you're missing the equipment that's what you're trying to sell people for your business. So that was kind of putting up that lean-to out of necessity, and it really wasn't built out of everything that you'd normally expect a stick frame building to be. It was just putting something up structurally good enough to keep the unwanteds out. And that property valuation from the drawing a blank. For my trying to do the new mortgage, I mean, I wanted a high value at that time so that I could borrow the money that I needed for refinancing my mortgage and everything like that. So I thought that was a relevant dollar amount.
Okay, so you're requesting 470.
I think that's what I wrote on the paperwork, yeah.
You wrote on total.
Yeah, and part of that figure for why it was more than the appraisal was because I did add last year before, I added a 23 by 30 section of my lean-to to enclose it and make it so I wouldn't have as much trash and stuff flowing into there, and then adjusting for a little bit of increase in property value, but increasing it over double, which I figured was a 125% increase based on what something on a Lincoln computer program says it should be worth, seemed a little bit extreme.
Okay, and did you receive an email of the new assessor's recommendation?
I didn't look at my email.
Okay, so
I wouldn't have known.
the 2024 number was, this is the overall number, was 883,275, and the new recommendation is 542,404.
So where would they came up with that dollar amount?
67,900 would be for the land, and 474,504 would be the improvements or buildings.
I don't want to say yes or no to that.
Okay,
Right. That still seems like an awful lot.
okay.
And I do have time to think about that, right? If I go back and look at the email and see
Yeah,
what they...
and Kurt, those correspondence were sent out to everybody.
If they provided an email address on their protest form, they received that, so.
Okay.
Yes, there's one here.
Yep, she did, I
So-
sent that to you.
So I do have time. I don't have to be on the spot asked.
You,
or-
yeah, we won't make a decision on you today.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because I think 100% or that is insane, and we're not making any more money just because our properties are worth more, and getting told to sell your property if you don't like the valuation is a little extreme, and that's what Ann Charlton was telling me for years, so just puts a bad taste in your mouth.
Okay.
Okay, all right,
Anything else to add today, then?
that's it for now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you for your
you'll
time.
correspond back with
I
this?
will talk to Kurt, yes.
Thank you. Okay, Gene. Number 72, Eugene Goki.
Eugene Goki, address is 605 Road U, Waco, Nebraska. We live in section 391 West, which is West Blue.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Morning, Gene.
Morning.
Go ahead.
Okay. We've got a 1,768 square foot ranch style house, which I actually stopped and picked up the breakdown on ours, and I see you're in error on the square footage because you've got it 1,962. 3-bedroom, 2-bath on an unfinished basement, no garage, no outbuildings, other than approximately 10,000 bushel bin that we moved to the location in 1998, which is out by the road. We moved our house to our location in 2009. We purchased it in 2008 and moved into it in 2010. We have made no improvements since we moved in, other than replacing the roof due to hail damage. We did add the deck after we moved in, but I think that was probably the same year. On June 1st, our valuation on buildings increased by 95.8%. I understand that land values and the cost to building a home has increased and continues to increase, but to inform me that the same home with no improvements has nearly doubled in value over the last 4 to 6 years is ridiculous. We like where we live, but honestly, if you came to me and told me that you would like to purchase our home and an acre of ground that it sits on for $380,000, I might give it some thought. After talking to some neighbors in the area, it would appear that whoever did the inspections was uneducated to the process at best. There doesn't seem to be any consistency. I have a neighbor that met with the assessor, and they adjusted the valuation on his buildings down to an amount that he wasn't necessarily happy with, but he could live with. His acreage initially was doubled also. Initially, he had a 9,000 bushel bin that was valued at 50,000, which was dropped to, I can't remember, he said it was dropped twice, now it's at 12,000. He had buildings that, he actually had a building on his yard that he built for me that was on skids, that's still on his yard, made it on the tax roll. That has been taken off. I've heard others that are borderline ridiculously low in comparison to what our valuation did. I'd like to put a shop building at some point where we live, but this definitely has me pumping the brakes on any improvements. To go out and spend $200,000 to make improvements and then be basically forced to pay rent on it through property taxes, I mean, it kind of takes initiative away to do something like that. I have not done my homework. I did not get comps. I listened to your minutes from the video on the meeting the last time, yesterday. And the frustrating thing for me, not only is all this, but the fact that there were errors made, and now I'm forced to do the footwork and spend the time and expense to go out and trying to prove you wrong, or the assessor's office wrong. You know, when I make mistakes, I have to deal with it, I pay the price. What upsets me is when somebody else makes mistakes, I'm forced to pay, you know, or prove them wrong. There's no consistency in this whole process. I've seen building sites where there's bins in a building that are valued considerably less than what mine is, and it just doesn't. I don't understand the process of how the assessor's office come up with these values. I looked up the, you know, previously valuations were a percentage of actual saleable value. Well, I looked up, and now the state of Nebraska says 100% of value. I'm nowhere as close to 100% of value, of saleable value. And then I heard this morning that emails were sent out, so I looked up, and I did receive an email from Kurt. And so the new valuation that he's proposing drops from a 95.8% increase to a 40. I got it broken down here or not, but approximately a 41% increase. Still too much. So I'm not accepting that.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, 20% is a God's plan. So.
Now, the information that you provided when you first sat down, Gene, you said there was square footage discrepancy. Kurt, how does that play in?
That was factored into, because I noticed that on your protest form, so I factored that into the number that.
The new number?
Yeah, new number.
Okay, all right. So the land of 383, 334, and then the improvements of 274, 034. The more of it is on the 274, the protest, more of the protest
yes.
is more on the 274 than
Yeah.
it is the land of 383, 334.
Correct. I mean, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that farmland is continuing to go up, you know, and as much as I dislike that, you know, I accept that.
Okay.
But the dwelling is
The
not a
improvement.
$400,000 house.
Right, it's got a 274, 034, but you're
Well,
still,
I still feel like that's overvalued.
okay. Okay, because you had it at 235 is what you had on the sheet I have.
Which is approximately a 20% increase.
Okay.
And to me, that's God's plenty.
Okay. So anything else to add, Gene? Okay, no decision's gonna be made today on this one. You know, we'll deal with this one the next week when we have a little bit more time.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
Thanks for coming in, Gene.
Yeah.
I clarify something.
I'm sorry.
Could I clarify something?
Sure.
When I said that it's just about the second floor, I should have been clear. The interior perimeter is rigid. The interior walls that we configured differently. So.
Okay. That is number
I know that we're not
72.
on the schedule, but we did get a invitation and encouragement to come and talk to you from Kurt through an email yesterday. So could we?
They are down here at Volte's.
Yep, yeah, they had, you were on last time. Yeah, we got a few minutes yet before we
Okay.
break out of here, so. And I think everybody else has been, because you didn't want to talk, and Mrs. Donovan's still here, so. You're just here listening. Yep, I figured you was. You had your opportunity, right? What number?
Thanks for seeing us again.
17.
17, okay.
17, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just gonna get the right email back up so I know what's going on.
Cynthia and Greg Bolte, 812 Road 4, McCool Junction.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
It says if you're in agreement with this recommendation and wish to cancel your appointment, or please make the following to the board today. So I thought we needed to come back and
The main thing was on the lands that was still the same, 9.28% increase. The building site went from 116.67 down to 79.74, which is still, that's one.
so what's the percentage of, still at that 79% increase?
79.74% increase.
And that was his recommendation that Mr. Brogren sent us yesterday, that said to please, the county board will take up your protest. So, just wanted to let you know.
Okay,
Working
I'm
on it.
getting to the number I'm looking for.
Sure.
Anything to add other than that? So basically you don't accept the adjustment,
It
I
went
should
from
say.
313,638 down to 261,81.
Which was 116% to start with, and then 79.74% increase there.
And your requested is still 731,774. That's total.
Yeah, yeah, that's the land and building, so.
Okay. Do you have those numbers written down? Do you have the numbers that you just talked about, the increase?
Yeah, well,
Do you have-
we can make you a copy, but.
Would you do that for me, please? Okay. So, no.
No.
Okay. That was right there. Okay, anything else to add? Thanks for sticking with us on those wonderful chairs.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll put this so I can see it.
I should switch around.
Okay. Kurt, while we have a few minutes here, Leroy, go ahead.
But they're in the
Scheduled before me.
They're all, we're already working in the afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. Kurt, do you have any on the list here, while we have a few minutes yet, that you have confirmed, is they're okay with the adjustments, so we can go ahead and mark those off? And I'll start back on the previous page. Because we did not, I seen Mr. Clark here this morning, but he didn't stick, do we have him at a different time?
Yeah.
What part?
Dennis.
He was at the beginning.
Right, but his time. Yeah, he was at 1:50 and 2 o'clock. Kurt,
I didn't see Mr. Clark.
yeah, he's actually scheduled for 1:50 and 2
Oh,
o'clock.
okay.
So, we haven't heard from him yet. Or Swantex?
No,
Okay,
he didn't provide an email address either, so I didn't listen to him.
all right. So then continuing down, do you have any of these others?
Do you want to go over any of the ones that talked last week?
If you want to.
Okay. Start with protest number 1, Mr. Coffey. He stopped in yesterday. He was okay with
The adjustment?
the adjustment that I sent to him.
You get a verbal confirmation, or you got anything in writing?
I got it verbal from him, and he was in yesterday. He said he'd still come by today just to check everything out. and
I
he was
noticed he
here.
was here.
He was here a little bit ago.
Any others? on that list
On that list, let's see.
that were okay with the adjustments?
Ben Cole, he was okay.
Do you know what number he was?
I'm sorry.
12.
Number 12, thank you. Number 14, Steve Gherkin.
Just before you move on, number 12, I think, the sheet that we got. Maybe not. Okay, that makes sense. Number 12, so then Steve's, number 14. What was your recommendation?
Good call.
I had to make a correction to that one.
Okay.
So the land was 22,500.
Okay.
Improvements, 269,334. For a total of 291,834.
And Steve was okay with that
He was
adjustment?
okay with that. He sent me an email with that. Number 16, Troutman, Brad and Teresa. They were okay with the recommendation that I set there.
Yeah.
Number 19, Ort, James. He said he would accept the valuation, but he also had some thoughts on valuations as well in general, that I'll share his email with you gentlemen. For the meeting. Number 37, Pitts, Dakota. She was fine.
What was the number, Kurt?
Number
37.
37.
Thank you.
That's more.
Let's just mark me a non-attendee.
Number 38, Petty Grove. They agree with my recommendation. Protest number 40, Sheffield. They agree with the adjustment I made, or the recommendation. Protest 43 and 44, Steve Hebner, he is okay with the recommendations in both of his protests. I did get an email confirmation here this morning from Protest 45. They are not okay with their recommendation. Number 50, Don Rocks Investments. They agree. Number 74, Oberly, Dean, Linda. He said ideally recommendation is still a little high but fair. I can live with this total. You can cancel my forward. 75, Stephen Becky McGowan, they are okay. The assessor recommendation. Number 76, Grant Schmidt's okay with the assessor recommendation. Number 92, Mertz, James Mertz, he's okay with the assessor recommendation. Uh, 102 and 103, the Clarks. Mr. Clark stopped in this morning and he said he's okay with those recommendations on those. And that's all I've heard so far.
I just checked the email. I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good with your
All
assessment
right.
opinion.
Mr. Klassen's okay then with that number there?
Number?
108.
Do I sign anything or just high five?
There we go.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, have a good day.
See ya.
Those are who I've heard back from that are okay with their recommendations.
Okay. All right, Kelly, this afternoon, we have got on our list of those attending. Is there any way we can reach out to them or try to reach out to them and bump up?
22 is Diane Cradle.
Come at 1:30?
Yes, please, because we don't have, we've got
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4,
5. Kurt, can you look up number 22,
7,
Diane Cradle?
Yes.
8, 9. Right?
Can you call your
here.
number?
Was she planning on coming in?
Yeah.
She was probably later in the day.
She was, I think, our last one. Try to get a hold of him.
Do you have contact information for everybody?
I have whatever they provided on their forms. So everyone got an email that had an email address on it. So
Phone,
Is there an error on your recommendations there?
let's take a look.
so if you
Yeah,
want
you're probably
this.
right, there is.
Yeah, they should have it.
So we have Saltzman, Kathy Hall, Clark Pickerel, Collingham, Robin Hendrickson, Yanovich, Dennis. I would put Dennis right
The
away.
land should be the same, Andy.
What did we say?
550,
Yeah. that's-
So I would tell
that's the big
Dennis right away at
discrepancy.
1:30, if he can come in, and then we'll take him back in order again. So
Is
maybe
that in
like with
emails or is
Daniel
that
with your
on-
mom, it might
It's
be
in the
more
emails.
2:30. That
So
could
it'd be the first email, Leroy?
Okay.
And then if we can speed him up, otherwise.
I guess I got one other question while you're, look that up or.
Yeah, let me, maybe over lunch I can make sure I have that one right.
So on these, where you're giving your values, you're saying 23% market increase.
Yes.
And then the number that we're seeing on the improvements far exceeds that 23%?
Yes,
What's,
so-
what's going on
Sure,
there?
so what I did was I took these parcels, especially down there in the 9, if you want to call it that, and I just took what their bare assessment was, no sort of map factor or adjustment at all, just what it is entered into our system, based on the age, square footage, grade, condition, and took the base number, and I figured it was probably, in order for it to get into range, the acceptable range of value of 92 to 100%, required a 23% adjustment. And so that's where that 23% adjustment comes in on those notes on there. So that's their base value plus the 23% adjustment is my recommendation. And it's the 23% adjustment is just on the improvement.
So say in the case where there's a 49%, it's still a 49% increase, and it just says 23%, where does that other 26%?
Land, do you have a specific example so I can take a look at that one?
I think Eugene Gokey's was up one of those.
Okay, yeah, and I reworked his too. I'm gonna look at his again. Because when you look at his house and that value, it still looks.
What number? There was a lost it.
Gene's 72.
72, 73, 73.
Well, and Andy, that would be a 23% increase on what I have in my system, not what his value was in 2023.
Okay.
How I have
What would change, that's my question, what would change that from year over year that much?
Well, market adjustments was what really drives that. Once you have your grade and conditions set, that doesn't really change too much. Especially your grade doesn't change. Condition can change obviously over time. If you get hail damage this year and you don't fix it next year, it's not going to change your condition too much. It's if you just don't ever fix a period and over a course of many years, it's going to start affecting the condition of your home. So there you could change a condition on your home, which would change the or on a residence or any improvement, which would change the value of it. But yeah, like with Gene's there, it was what I have built into the system here with his corrected square footage.
Which he said, oh yeah, we need to take a look at the square footage.
Yeah, and I did correct that. I think we had 1,900 some, and it's 17.
Is there any one factor, Kurt, that made your new recommendations lower on the houses? Or were they all different?
Meaning?
Well, because 23 was on one, it was 138. 24 went to 279.
Right.
Then you changed it, it went to 221. Is there any
With the
one
condition.
factor
Right.
that changed between?
Yeah.
Which number was that again?
Right.
That's number 20.
Number 20.
But when you went through and reworked these, was there any
Seven.
one major thing that changed?
Or
Or was it different for everyone?
I pretty much would check. I would check the grading, make sure the grading condition.
Yeah, number
It should be what it should be.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I just took the value of the home and I gave it that 23% market increase for the rural residential to get it into that acceptable range of value.
Could you see what the old condition was when you were putting in the condition of the dwelling this time?
Well, we'd have record of that one, the old one would be.
I mean, so they match? Because that would change it if it went from 30, you can put it in as good. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just trying to figure out why.
Yeah, there seems to be a few.
We're trying to figure out how to make sure it doesn't happen next, we do the next batch.
Well, no, and that's what we're, I mean, we've been finding homes in the city of York, like 1,000 square foot home that's graded out of 2, which is, one's the highest grade you can have for a value, graded out of 2 and condition excellent. There's no
So you are
business like
looking
that.
at that.
So as we're going through and reviewing properties, we're correcting those grades and conditions to where they need to be. And so like I said, once we set that grade really shouldn't change again. And condition doesn't change that much either. It just depends on
Right. So are they matching her? Have they been easier than?
Okay.
Right, yeah.
I guess I don't know what you mean by matching.
The old condition was fair and they come
Put that
good. That changes the value,
Yeah, absolutely.
plus the increase.
Or it could be normal and it could be below normal.
It's 23%. Norm, is that, what was last year, do we know?
That wasn't last year. I didn't do any market adjustments in rural last year.
Yeah. Just wondered.
We were within range last year, so I didn't have to.
There you go.
Okay, Kelly's gonna reach out to the ones that are scheduled for later in the afternoon. We're gonna get them in here hopefully get them in here between 1:30 and 2:30, and then we'll go with the other after that. Okay?
Sounds good.
So let's recess for lunch now. And we'll be back at 1:30.